Hello there, how are you? I hope that you're having an amazing day and that you're enjoying Labor Day with your family and friends, having a safe and happy time. If you're new to my videos, welcome. I'm Amber. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to check out where we are with Pan That Palette Challenge, the Better Together Pan That Palette, the Kickin' It Old School Pan That Palette. So as far as those challenges go, everybody is going to be linked with the original creators, with Dana and Jessica with the Kickin' It Old School Pan That Palette and Paula with the Better Together. Check out their content in the description box below. It is awesome. And if you are wanting to jump in on an eyeshadow challenge to finish out makeup out of your collection, I can't recommend things like this enough. Pan That Palette, you know, has just been game changing, and to have a theme on top of it, highly, highly, highly recommend. So as far as what we're going to be talking about today, I have 4 different palettes, and I will be honest, last month has been so productive, so productive. So we're going to talk about a couple of things going on here. So let's begin with the traditional Pan That Palette challenge with the Novel Cosmetics side-by-side nude palette. I have been working on this for the better part of a year and a half now because I thought I was going to be able to finish it in a year, and nope, not so much. So I have spent a lot of 2023 panning the gray eyeshadows, in particular the shadows of Untitled and Cubism. So let me show you where I was this past month, because I have learned a lot about myself wearing gray eyeshadow. I call it my armadillo eyes look. I've really had to kind of come around to the gray eyeshadow, and because of that, this month, oh, I'm so excited. Here is where we are today. I mean, oh, I'm so thrilled, because for a while I really thought it wasn't going to be achievable to finish this matte black by December. However, that being said, as you can see, Cubism is gone. I am back to wearing the gray smoky eyes. I'm loving it because I'm really feeling it as a vibe with my hair, because I have pieces that are coming in that are like straight up white. So I'm kind of loving the cool toned eyes vibe, and I'm wanting fall to be here, and I'm wanting winter to be here, so it's not so blasted hot. So what I did with the last of Cubism is I actually mixed it with Untitled, because I recently finished the Lorac shade I was working on in the Better Together Pan That Palette. And when I mixed Cubism and the Untitled shade, I took all of what was left of Cubism, which was like, I don't know, maybe a little bit less than a quarter of the palette left, mixed with a decent sized chunk of Untitled. I got the exact charcoal shade I was looking for. So if you're following me on Instagram, you got a sneak peek of that. If not, my handle should be down here, Beauty Mama, or maybe it's over on this side. But that way you can kind of keep up when I'm starting to franken things, because I'm all in the moment of really kind of digging deep into what I have, using what I have, frankening things, duping to shadows that I love. So 2 birds, 1 stone for sure, because I found a dupe for Cubism within a palette I'm already working on. And then to be able to just use these and move them out to make a shade that I love to dupe out a shade that I finished is just bonus. So this, as you're frankening shadows together, I kind of played around with the mixture till I got the exact charcoal shade I wanted, and then I added a slight bit more black on top of that, because once you add the rubbing alcohol into it and repress it, it does lighten up the shadow just a slight bit. So you kind of want to keep that in mind if you are trying to create shades of your own. But it really has helped me to kind of get through, you know, not just Cubism, but really kind of make the end goal in sight of the Untitled shade, while making it very practical for me to go on and use this shade. So I'm loving that. So let's go on and go into the Better Together Pan That Palette created by Paula. I have been working on various shadows from a Z palette. So this is where I was last time we spoke with that update. And then here is where we are today. This was the Lorac shade that I was working on, that was that deep charcoal gray. And as you can see, well, maybe not. Well, I might have to put it close in. I finally finished it as I stepped back into the palette, and as you can see, like with all the little like black marks on the bottom of the pan and all that, I was pretty thrilled to be done with this shadow, just because it looked kind of grimy and gross. It never gave me any irritation on my eyes, so I wasn't worried about it being moldy or whatnot. But not gonna lie, I'm kind of glad that it's done. As far as the rest of what's going on in this palette, this was actually a Juvia's Place shadow that was like a really intense coral shade. Now I'm repurposing that pan to use for the matte charcoal shade. So let's, fingers crossed, be finished with this one before December. The other shadow that I've been making a ton of progress on is the Natasha Denona shade down here that came out of the Triochrome palette. I love the tone of this shadow to use every day in my crease as a warming up shade. It's just smooth, it's beautiful. I will say if you have to repress Natasha Denona shadows, they crack easily, so be careful. This is actually my second time repressing the shadow. So as you can see, I'm very much at the bottom of this pan. I should start clearing it out again for the third time, and fingers crossed, hopefully finish this within the next, let's put a goal out in front of myself to finish it by the end of October. But definitely I wear this every single time that I wear makeup. Now the reason it's taken me a long time to kind of get through the gray eyes is because I did get sidetracked for a while. I spoke about the bronze eye that I was wearing with this Juvia's Place shadow up here, and then I was also working on a very intense plummy purple smoky eye using this shade from the Natasha Denona Triochrome palette, as well as this Anastasia single shadow in Deep Plum, I believe is the shade. So I have been very diligently kind of panning through this. I really want to see how far I can continue going in terms of using more shadows out of here. So we're going to stick with the Pan That Palette concept with the Better Together as well. So that's where I am with this palette. Really not using it a whole lot. When I finish my highlighting shade, I'm debating about either going into this Too Faced shadow that I got going here called is it Buttercream Peach Butter, or going with this Lorac shade up here. This one might be a little too pinky. I know it's hard to see on camera, but I'm debating about going into either of those two as a highlighting shade just to kind of move out some more shadow from my collection, but we'll see. I'll keep you posted. Okay, so that takes us into the Juvia's Place. I don't know. I guess it could go either way of going into Better Together or the Kickin' It Old Schools, but we're going to talk about Juvia's Place Nubian 3 Coral because I've actually learned a lot about myself through the palette this last month. I have really enjoyed this. Let me show you where I was last update because I feel like this is where I've made the biggest change in the palette. So this is where we are currently. As you can see, like the most exciting thing that I've found, this shade right here is literally the dupe to Cubism from the Nabla Cosmetics. It looks darker in the pan than Cubism did, but on the eyes, it is indistinguishable. So here is what that looks like on my finger. And then let me give you a swatch. And when you blend it out on the eyes, it's not even as dark as this, because as you can see, the Juvia's Place gray is what I have going on the inside portion of my crease. It is a beautiful, flattering gray eye. I don't like it on its own, which is why I wanted the charcoal shade just to kind of deepen things up. But you can also recreate this yourself if you mix this with a matte black. So when I post the Get Ready With Me of my Armadillo Eye vibe, I'm going to use this palette because if you have this in your collection and you're wanting to capsule makeup pan or get inspired to wear a look where the majority of the shadows come out of one palette, this is your go-to. I've been wearing this shadow right here on my lid. I love it. Now on its own, it has kind of more of a brown taupey vibe to it. This is the shade. Then when you put it on your hand, it looks like so. I prefer it to have more of a gray, silvery color. So what I do is I take a white eyeshadow pencil, whether you use the NYX Jumbo eyeshadow pencils, or I'm happening to use one from e.l.f. This is the Cookies and Cream collection that came out months and months ago, just in the flat white color. It really helps it to stand out and make it more of a striking gray color. I love it, so I'll demonstrate that in the Get Ready With Me, but it really has been a game changer to make some of those cooler tone shadows be a little bit more flattering and easy to wear, because I like neutral shadows, but the cooler tone spectrum of things I've really kind of started stepping into just to see how it would work out with my hair. So I'm loving it, like with the white streaks that are coming in and the silver that's on top, so wanted to share that with you. Then the other shadow that I've made a ton of progress in is this, you know, kind of a corally, pinky, orangey shade over here that I use for blush. I also use it in my crease to warm things up. My goal is to finish this by the end of September. I love this shade. The other shade that I double up as blush is this shade over here, which is a little bit more pink. But like I said, this gives you a way to multitask a palette like this. So I hope that you're looking forward to that. Get ready with me. I've really been enjoying this, and I want to make some substantial progress on this palette in the next couple months. I've already got plans for this kind of like matte brown over here too. So fingers crossed. Then that takes us into the last palette for the Kickin' It Old School. I am panning my MAC Warm Neutrals palette just to see how much I can clear out of it. So where I was last month, here's the status update. And then here is where we are currently. I am still working on the same 3 shades. Primarily, I've been working on Brulee over here. As you can see, I am down to the last little bit. I've repressed it. I'm clearing out the sides of the pan. Everything's down at the bottom. I am hoping to have this shade completely finished out by the end of September. That is my goal. I'm also working on Amber Lights right here. I use this as a facial highlight on my skin tone. It's very similar to MAC Soft and Gentle. It's just a beautiful, sophisticated, highlighty look that has a little bit of a gold tint to it. It's kind of a nice juxtaposition to the gray that's going on my eyes, and that way I can wear warm toned jewelry mixed with the cooler tones in my hair. It works. It works really, really well together. And then the other shade that I've been very diligent on is this matte espresso up here. I use it in my brows. I use it as a deepening shade when I wear like a bronzier eye. And so when I go back into kind of a warmer toned eye after the gray, I will definitely be able to finish this off. If not, you know, just by using it as an eyebrow shadow before then. So not a whole lot to update on this palette, but know that I am continuously working on it, and I'm finally seeing some traction in these eyeshadows. So that wraps it up. Like I said, I need to get you that get ready with me, and I specifically want it to be with the Juvias place because I feel that's going to be an easy go-to, a one-stop shop, if you will, in terms of eyeshadow. But otherwise, I hope that you're loving your makeup, that you're enjoying reaching for the things that you own, that you're having fun with your makeup. Once again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend with me. I appreciate it so, so much. I wish you well, take care, and I'll be talking to you soon. Adios.